everyone. This is Fe'ofa'aki, Tonga's first female Olympic boxer, and you're listening to the Encouragers podcast.
Jake, I know you just. Jake. What are you for? Jake.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Aki, how are you?
Good. How are you? Sorry, I'm trying to. Hi,
Hey, what up?
hi, hi.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome.
Everyone's different background.
Yeah, you got Jake on the, I don't know if it's your lower left on my screen with the kumete in the background and some kava. There's Jake. What up, Jake?
Sorry for the delay.
No worries. Had to get the polo
We got
kava in. Right
we
on.
gotta have the honorary first round for Aki.
Yeah. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Let me make sure. Is this recording so far? Let's see. Can you guys hear me okay, everyone? Can we
Yeah.
test everyone's microphone real quick? Tech, can I test yours?
Test
Yeah, it's not chosen.
testing 1 2.
Yeah, it's not
How about mine?
yep, you're good. And then
Yes, am I good?
yeah, you're good. You sound good.
All right.
Right on. What part of the are you in the States right now, Aki?
I am. I'm in
Oh,
San Antonio, Texas.
oh, okay, Texas. Oh, nice.
Where's everybody at?
So I'm in Reno. I'm Notice, and I am in Reno,
Okay.
Nevada. Yeah.
And I'm Tech. I'm in Utah.
Hi.
And Jake, I'm all the way in North Carolina, in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
How did you
Yeah.
guys?
We did start out in the same places, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. We see, how did we all meet? It was around a bowl of kava. Tech and
Now,
I were related. We're from Reno. Tech and I grew up together, and we all went to school together, or more or less college together. So Jake went up to where did you go to? Rexburg, Idaho, up there.
Yep. And I
And
met
then
notice you came up with, so essentially Coach, which is another member of the podcast, and Asi were basically like brothers. And so they would come up and visit, and you were roommates with Coach. Was it when you were at Dixie? Notice?
yeah, when I was at Dixie, man, many moons ago. It's
Yep.
not,
And so brought him up, and we met, and I was roommates with some of the boys up in Idaho, and the rest is history.
mhm.
cool.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
this is fun
crazy.
that you guys are able to have a reunion every time you get together on Zoom.
Yeah, pretty much. So our podcast started off. We had a group chat like many years ago, just after we all left college and everything. We all kept in touch in our group chat, and ever since then, man, everyone went their own ways. One of my roommates, one of our friends that's on the podcast too. His name is Paul. He ventured off into the NFL, played a long career in the NFL. Joe, he successful entrepreneur, and he's working for the U.S. government now, doing a lot of things with the government. And myself and Tech, we lived in New York City for a very long time. We worked on Broadway.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
we worked on Broadway. We worked on off Broadway. We worked for this theater in New York City for a very long time. Tech was a technical manager, and he did all the lighting, all the special effects. I did the audio. But he's from New England, and so when Jake was up in New England, he would come down to New York City, and we would hang out. And we just kept in touch for a very long time, and we pretty much wanted to share like the things that we've learned throughout the years through our own individual times. Like we would send tips and stuff to each other, like, "Hey, how do you go about doing this? How do you apply for this grant, or how do you apply for this or this?" And so we send that back and forth with each other, and then one day we are like, why don't we make a podcast and talk about the things that we're learning? And so now we're here. We started that in 2019, and here we are. We're still talking long run-on
Just
sentences.
just before COVID, huh?
Yeah.
COVID, I'm sure you guys had a lot of time to brainstorm and
Hmm.
get things really rolling. That's cool.
Yeah. But enough about us, man. We're here to talk about you. Man, what an honor, first of all. Thank you so much for coming on. And to have an Olympic athlete, not very that's very rare to have someone to meet actually in person, and let alone have a Zoom podcast with. So
Not in person yet, but hopefully in person one of these days.
yeah, definitely. One of our major goals is to have a studio complex somewhere in Texas or North Carolina where we all fly in, hold a couple shows, tape a couple shows, and then fly back to our respective cities. So that is the goal.
Well, you know who's in Texas, so
Heck yeah,
incorporate me in there.
we got you.
What part of are you like north, south, San Antonio? Where and have you been there long?
San Antonio. I officially I'm here about a month and a half.
Oh,
So my partner, he's been here for 5 years, 5 months.
hmm.
But since I've been traveling back, going in and out of the country, in and out of the states, I've just been here for, I would say, at most a month and a half.
Oh,
So,
nice. Right on. Sheesh.
You got to go float the river up in man, what's the town up there? Schlitterbahn. If they've ever talked about that, there's this like
hearing a
really
lot of,
good
but you know
river
what?
float that you can go do.
I don't know how I feel about floating a river in Texas because, California's standard is pretty up there. So I was like,
Yeah, probably can't beat California, but you take what you can get in other states.
Man, Tech and I we were up there visiting one of our buddies. He had a card shop, or he was starting a card shop up in San Antonio.
okay.
Um, yeah, we were up
Dallas.
there.
He's in
Dallas.
Dallas.
Oh, that's
Dallas.
way
But
far.
he started his whole online. He was in San Antonio, and that's where he kind of branded his whole online presence before he went up to Dallas, and I think they're opening the second or have opened the second card shop now. So, but yeah, he did his whole online presence there and crushed it, and really expanded out into the franchise world.
Cool.
They got barbecue in San Antonio. That place.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Mhm.
Tech, what was that barbecue joint that we drove like 400 hours to?
Dude, I don't remember.
We drove somewhere, man. It was
It was out in
good
the
though.
middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and then we realized there was a one closer. That same franchise was closer to the city that we were, like closer to.
Aki, there's some in Austin you got to go try too. Austin
Send it
has
my
some.
way. Send it my
Yeah.
way. Yeah, there's an all-female boxing gym in Austin. They've helped me like with my sparring preparation to go into the Olympics. So I'll be making my way over there. So send it my way. I have a lot of catching up with food to do.
Oh man, I bet. You probably were on a super strict diet, right? Preparing for
Not super strict. It was actually one of my best weight cut I've had. Um, but it was pretty, yeah, I had to be kind of on top of it this time around. On my last competition, I didn't make weight, and that was tough.
Mhm.
And so coming back and qualifying for the Olympics, my coach made sure that I made weight. So he was constantly checking my weight, and every morning I had to wake up, send a picture of my scale, and yeah, just make sure I was on top of it. But it was, yeah.
What
'Cause
weight class do you fight in?
yeah.
So I was fighting between 57 and 60 kg, but I went to the Olympics for 60 kg. Yeah.
60
Initially, I was trying to go in at 57 kg, which is 125 for 57 and then 132 for 60 kg.
Man,
132 pounds.
that's wild. That's a
I'm
pretty.
sorry. Just for our listeners, I don't think we got your name for our listeners. Can you tell us your name
Yes. Fe'ofa'aki Epenisa, but I go by Aki.
for short?
Yeah, for sure.
Malo,
And, and
malo.
and and you grew up in Tonga, right?
I did, yeah.
And when was it when you moved to the States?
I came to the state in 2005, a day after my ninth birthday.
Oh, you were only 9 years old.
I was adopted, so that's how I ended up in the States. Yeah.
And how'd you get into boxing out of all sports?
Of all sports. Um, so I did rugby in college for 3 years. My last year, I decided that I was going to put the boots aside and I still wanted to stay active, just for mental clarity and yeah, mostly mental clarity. So I did boxing, but I think initially that was fun.
So mental clarity, but then you get hit in the head, or you're like, no, they can't hit me.
No, or you get hit in the head and then you learn to move your head, and you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, it's time to wake up. Hello.
That's what's
No,
up.
we're big fans of a lot of us come from sports backgrounds too, but yeah, like the driving towards a greater goal, where it requires discipline and suffering and focus and hard work. We it's hard to keep that discipline consistent for sure, but we're all a fan of that.
Yeah. What sports did you guys do?
I played rugby and football, American football.
Same, rugby and football and
And
basketball.
I did basketball and soccer and ran track, wrestled a little bit.
You wrestling? I did wrestling too in high school.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what's up. I did.
And that's
Out. Was that?
that's
But you
probably
wrestled
not.
against the guys, huh?
Yeah, so I was the only girl on my my wrestling team, and I did wrestling for 2 years, and I didn't really go on any women's tournament because I was the only girl for the first year. And then the second year, we had extra staffing. So I was able to take one of the coaches with me to the female tournaments, and I just dominated because I was only going against guys. And then you transfer over, it's like, oh, okay, this is easy, easier. Yeah.
Mm, that's
Was
what's
this
up.
in Texas when you were doing all these tournaments for wrestling?
California.
Oh, California. Okay. And that's where you guys first moved when you guys came here from Tonga?
Yeah. Bay Area.
Love it,
What
man.
what part of the Bay?
So I grew up in Marin County. And then before I moved here, I was in Richmond and Oakland. But then I went to school at UC Santa Cruz. So I was all the way in Santa Cruz.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
For,
I think Paul is from where? Daly City? You
okay.
familiar with Daly City?
Yeah. My nephew, when he moved to the States and got married, he was all over in Daly City area. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
So tell us about your journey to get into the Olympics. Like I know it was probably a tough road to like you said, like cut weight and all of that. But what were some of the things that you had to do to prepare yourself to be qualified to the Olympics?
I think the first thing was, so I did a lot of moving to make sure that I put myself in a position where I was able to go to the Olympics. I was in Vegas, because I was right after school. I was like, I want to go to a place where it's at the time I was a waitress, I was a server in a restaurant. I was like, I need to go to, I was on my hustle. So I wanted to make sure that I wanted to go to a city where they're open all the time, so I was debating between New York or Vegas. Um, and then Vegas ended up being the pick because it was cheaper and it was closer and it was drivable. So and then also I was doing boxing my last year. I was just taking it as an exercise class. I was like, what, they have boxing too. It's like the hub for boxing. And so I picked Vegas and I started over there. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. Do you know who Dewey Cooper is? You guys familiar? So
Nope.
he's really big in the MMA world and boxing as well. Um, so he I had somebody who asked him to see if he could trade me, and Dewey was like, "Mm-mm." no way. Um, I don't know who she is. A lot of people who show up to, to go work out or show up to it and, anything exercise wise, it's like they're consistent for a few weeks and then it's like, mm-mm, it's a no for me. So he said a hard no for me. And then I told my friend, I was like, just ask again, please. I really need to. I really need, I liked his passion and I enjoyed the way he showed up for his fighters. And I wanted that. And so he finally agreed and he said the only way you can join is if you show up to every practice and it's mandatory for you to run on Saturdays. And these runs are not easy runs. There were like uh, on the short end, maybe 4 mile, on the longer end, 7.5, 8 miles, every Saturday. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And I just kept showing up, um, every day, every Saturday. And then I made it to like month 2, and everybody was like, honestly, we all were talking that you were gonna be done like 2 weeks in. I was like, yeah, right. Y'all got me messed up. Started over there, and then I had a friend who was in Tonga at the time. He was I guess he was involved with Tonga boxing, and he reached out to me. He's like, hey, you should come and join the Tongan boxing team. I was like, whoa, that would be a really cool opportunity. And so he said, they have nationals at this time. Just come and try out. And I said, all right. And so I went down, and there wasn't anybody in my weight class. And so I had to fight a girl who was 85 kg. Wait, actually, no, she was 90, 95, 95
Oh,
kg.
dang.
But at the time, I was walking around 75 kg, you know?
Mm.
And so, yeah, she was heavy. So I
Yeah.
had to, how in Tonga, like, okay, well, you still have to prove anyway. You can fight whoever. So they threw me in with this girl, and um, at the time I thought I did good, but now looking back, I was like, ooh, that's a hard cringe. uh, so that's how I got my feet into the door. Lord Vaya, he was there. At the time, he was overseeing boxing for Tonga. And so I remember after that tournament, they pulled me aside and they just questioned if I was actually Tongan, you know,
Jeez.
uh, because I no longer speak my mother tongue. Um, because again, I was adopted. When I got adopted, I was adopted outside um, a Tongan family. So I'm adopted by Palangi. And, Marin County, I don't know if any of you guys been, it's just no Tongans. Um, so yeah, it was Lord Baya, president of Tonga Boxing at the time. His name was Matale Funaki, who's now, he's like family to me. And then the head coach for Tonga Boxing, Pita. And, they all put me in this, it was like kind of like a, a circle. And I was the only, I was very, very intimidated at the time. Um, because I felt like I didn't belong, in Tonga when there's meetings and it's mostly male, it's like the women are not usually involved in the meeting. But at this, for this case, it was, around me joining Tonga Boxing. And so they asked me, in order for you to be here, to represent Tonga, you have to have lived in Tonga for 5 years. And I think they were waiting for me to be like, dang, I couldn't represent. I said, oh yeah, no problem. I was living in Tonga up until I was 8.5, you know? And then they're like, well, you have to have a Tongan passport. And I said, I have mine. It's expired, so I will just have, to get that renewed. And then it was like, well, who's your parents? Who are your parents? And then told them my mom and um, my dad's name. And as soon as I said that my dad's name, so it's really funny when I was trying to join the team and I was showing up to practice, um, the coach for Tonga, his name is Pita, he didn't even look my way, didn't even say hi, didn't want to coach me, didn't want to interact with me. Um, it's kind of like, this Balangi girl from overseas just coming, you know, like thinking that she's, too good to be here, which like I didn't even have my first fight. I was just showing up. Um, and
Okay.
so he cold shouldered me for the whole 2 weeks, and then at that meeting when I was like naming my father, he said he looked at me. It was the first time he turned head and looked at me. And I proceeded to continue talking. And then after the meeting, he came up to me, and my heart was pounding. Like, why is Tongan men, when they're very intimidating, and so he comes up to me, and my heart was pounding. Like, what is it now? What did I do? And he started to cry, and I might tear up, so don't mind me. And he told me that my father used to come to his village and teach him and all the young boys how to box, because my dad, he was a boxer himself. And he knew my family. Um, and he said that he saw, now it makes sense, he saw my dad's fighting spirit in me, you know. Um,
That's
and
dope.
my father, he's passed already. And so while I was there trying to get on the team, I remember wishing to have a male figure there. To usually it's the father or like the older brother, but my siblings were overseas picking fruit, and they didn't know that I was going to be in Tonga anyways, and so I didn't have anybody. So right then and there, I felt like my dad was still guiding me, watching my back, and um, from there he started to be more my corner, telling me what I should be doing and what the judges look for. Um, so that was pretty cool. Yeah. So
That's
for
what a great story, by the way, to show you know, from the outside in, because my closest friends the past 20 some years have been Tongan, Samoan, some Fijians as well,
yeah,
and seeing how important your family name is and the impact it has carrying forward for other generations, it just kind of ties in that same kind of storyline for you, where the sacrifices that people came before you opened up doors for you, and then you carried that same drive, same intensity, same skill. It seems to happen over and over again in just from stories I've heard a lot in Tongan and Polynesian culture. So it's just we just seem to hear these stories all the time. At least I do. And of course, like our pastime, we get together, we're around the bowl and everybody's talking stories. But what a great share there. So I have a follow-up question to that.
yeah.
You mentioned that just like backtracking, you're talking about your backstory a little bit. You came to the States, you had a Palangi family. How did you reconnect with the roots of your bloodline, of your heritage, being raised in Marin County?
So I've always known my family ever since coming, at 9 years old, you have memories of, everybody. And so throughout the years, my mom would email, message my sister and my sister's husband. I used to talk with my auntie on the phone um, every week, on Sundays, until one day I was talking to her on the phone and I was crying hysterically. And um, she was telling me that my birth mom was going back to Tonga and my family was getting reunited, you know, at the time. And that really broke my heart because here I was just, have been uprooted from Tonga to the States. And I was like, wow, so now everybody's together and here I am, separated from everybody. So I was just like so heartbroken. And my adopted mom, I guess she was listening to the phone conversation. And after I was done talking with my auntie, she kind of told her that, if she was going to call me, like not to say stuff like that to me, because it really, you know, I'm trying to start a life and it's hard for me to start a life if I'm being told that, my family is now finally fully together. And so that kind of angry, my auntie got angry from their conversation. So she was my main connect. My father, he didn't really, him and I talked one time and that was it. I think it was too much of a heartbreak for him to call me, you know, and have that be kind of a reminder that I'm very far away from my family because again, um, that's not really common within the Polynesian community. We all kind of, stick together and, raise each other. So for me to, be so far away from home, um, and being the only one, it was hard on my family. So we kind of lost connection there. But I guess my sister's husband reached out to my mom and was like, "Hey, how are you doing? How am I doing?" And we just reconnected. And I went back to visit Tonga when I was 14. And then, of course, I always knew my sisters and my aunties and stuff like that. So I went and saw them. So every 4 years, I go back home. But now that I'm adult, I've been going home a little bit more often,
Yeah.
seeing them.
So were you throwing hands at a young age? Did you just kind of have it from
Oh,
the
I was
early
throwing
days?
hands. I was throwing hands. Who doesn't throw hands when they grow up in the islands? That's like that's a thing. Throwing hands, pulling hair, scratching faces.
That's so, man. First of all, thank you for sharing that incredible story. And I'm gonna call it right now. Any producer, any director that's listening to this podcast right now, I think we just have another film. That's another true story film right here, an inspirational true story film. That was that was very moving, and I could see it becoming like a story that we can like a short film even.
Um,
That's powerful, man. That's super powerful. And thank you for sharing that. It really hit home. But yeah, geez, that's incredible. So all this time you were just you did you know you knew your father was a boxer? So you kind of did you pick up some of that as you
so
were growing up?
because my brother and I would, at school, sometimes, oftentimes actually, my brother would come home crying that he's been beaten up or have been jumped. So my father's like, "What do you mean?" And like he's like ready to go fight these like young boys. And I didn't know at the time he was hella old, but he was ready to throw hands. But he would teach my brother and I how to throw punches. So.
Maybe for some of our listeners that grew up here and don't understand, like a lot more is settled. That maybe we can give some background for those that have experience in the islands, at how that's kind of the way of settling things. And it's not like here where someone's on the ground or anything like that. Like you settle and then you shake hands after and then it's good. Am I wrong there, or is that kind of how the island life is a little bit?
once you're adult it's like, okay, once you get in the punch in the face, now you get the memo, let's move on. But I think when you're when you're younger, it's like, oh no, I'm gonna get you. And then it's like it's tag. But yeah,
Okay, what's your favorite punch to throw? What's your favorite combo?
my favorite punch is the overhand right, but
Oh.
I feel like I haven't really used my overhand right
Mm-hmm.
because it takes a little bit more time to throw it. And with the amateurs, it's like pop, 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 pop. It's like loads of punches, and um, yeah, I can't load off my power like I would like to do so by
Do you have
itself.
nice overhead punch, overhead? What is it?
Overhand,
Overhand
Overhand.
right.
Overhand
yeah.
right. Man, I be watching hell of Mike Tyson clips, man. And man,
Crazy.
do you ever watch Mike Tyson? Do you like Mike Tyson's his
I love
style of
Mike.
boxing?
I love Mike Tyson. Peekaboo.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
peekaboo, right? That was his thing. Man, I love watching it. Bob and weave. Um, so who would you say, do you have a favorite boxer in mind that you admire that you
I Lomachenko, huge fan of Lomachenko just because he's a man of God,
mm,
you know. He also came from nothing, made something out of himself, and went back and helped his people, you know. Um, and also he's just humble, you know, and that's someone who like, okay, that's aligns a lot with the Tongan culture. And so that's somebody who I heavily admire. But in terms of skills, I would say Lomachenko.
mm,
I know he's had like I think two losses, but he's just so slick. He's so slick with it. His hands, you know, it's like he's he's just like dodging punches and throwing loads of punches.
mm.
Um, and then the Japanese boxer, I don't know how to, Inio, I don't know how to say his name. Let me see how to, anyways, a Japanese boxer. He's Japan's number one boxer right now. He's a beast.
Nice.
Yeah, those are my top.
Nice. Very cool. Lomachenko, man. I've seen some clips of him too. Yeah, it's pretty dope. Pretty dope. So is the when you're in the boxing scene, like, is Olympic boxing different than the amateur boxing? The points wise, how they score, judges, anything like that? Is it all pretty much the same?
It's pretty much the same. I mean, different countries look for different things.
Hmm.
You know, like here in the US, they look for somebody who literally stays in there, you know, and he just throws punches and sits in punches. When you go into Europe, it's more like it's putting on a show, you know, the long punching, you know, the long punchers, just moving, dancing around, almost like, you know, um, yeah. Then Mexico again, sitting on punches. So, but when you go to the international tournaments, they are more of like the showy, fast punches, throw punches, don't get hit, move. You know, yeah.
Nice. So how long has your career been in boxing? How long have you been
So
developing?
my first boxing bout was in 2019. So
Mm,
that's when you guys started your show.
hmm.
So what, five years ago, five
Yeah.
and a half years
Yeah.
ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started taking my classes for boxing about a year and a half prior to that. I think 2018. Yeah, 2000 actually, yeah, 2000s, end of 2017, go to 18.
And
Wow.
was it
That.
always your goal to go to the Olympics? Or
Once I had my first fight, I was like, all right, I want to go to the Olympics.
Oh.
I was like, let's go to the Olympics.
That's, that's
But you
what's
know,
up.
I lost my first fight.
Hmm.
Uh, Against Samoa because it was at the Pacific Games, and I was like, all right, let's go to the Olympics. I want to make that happen, especially since I knew that not there was not too many girls in boxing.
Hmm.
One, and then a few years back, Tonga um, banned women from playing rugby and boxing. So I was like, let me. this is uncharted. So as soon as they, allowed for women to box, I was like, okay, I want to go to Olympics. I want to make that path happen.
Man, that's wild. I never knew that happened.
Yeah.
That's
From
crazy.
yeah, participating in school, and yep, that was
Man,
wild.
that's super historic because you're the first female Tongan Olympic boxer ever. You know what I mean? That's wild. Does that blow your mind sometimes that like you've made history that way? You've set your almost like a legacy already, you know?
Yeah, it does. But I don't try to sit on it, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I have a lot more to do and to develop. Um, my first entry into the Olympics, I lost, my fight. And even though I made it to the Olympics, I wasn't pleased with that,
Mm-hmm.
So that, I was just like, oh man, give me 4 more years,
Oh,
So
wow.
now it's like reset mode because again,
Mhm.
a lot of these major countries who have made it to the Olympics, they have, you know, doctors, they have uh, physio, they have coach, assistant coach, um, they have all the whole, the whole 9 yards.
Mhm.
And so I was thinking, like if I had that, I would have been
Mhm.
like next level. But I had to, I've had to work with what I've got, and given that Tonga doesn't have that many, much resources, I've really had to reach out to people here in the States um, that have been familiar with the journey of going to the Olympics and like how do we get there, So I don't marinate too much on like being the first female Tongan boxer that has gone to Olympics, though that is very historical. There's a lot more for me to do and for other women to do,
Mhm.
and to really sit back and be like, wow, I did that, So it's cool. I'm not impressed with it, you know, um, because there's a lot more. Yeah.
So does that mean
Absolutely.
we'll be seeing you in 4 years?
I mean, it's something. He's definitely seen me because I definitely have the itch, and I don't like losing, but but I also like don't. I feel like if I had this, literally, if I had the same resources that everybody else, I felt like the fight it would be
Yeah.
different, you know.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
My prep was 5 weeks. If I had as much, like all these, all these women had months. I
Right.
was, oh, and also a lot of them, I also had the least amount of fights within my weight category, and probably in the whole
Wow.
tournament. I went in as 14 fights. A lot of these women average in the 80s, 90,
Jeez.
Oh, wow.
130. I would say probably the least amount of fights, but other than me, would probably be Australia at 25, 30 fights. So I was just, I'm taking notes
That's what's up.
and planning. you know.
What
If
what was it like being in France and going through like the opening ceremony? And I think I noticed in the pictures our girl Noelani Day was there with you. And what
My
was it
little
like to connect
homie,
with
my
her?
roomie.
We
That's
had
my
her on the, I don't know if you saw, we had her on the podcast a while back, but she's awesome. So I seen that in the pictures. I was like, hey, I think I know that girl over there. So talk to us a little bit about the opening ceremony, what it was like living in France for a little bit, and what it was like, repping the ceremonial dress and everything that you had while you went through that.
Yeah. It was all very emotional, but I have to say really quickly, I think it looked way cooler on TV than it actually the whole journey, because I was cold the whole time, y'all. I was freezing. I was literally like shaking. I was like, thank goodness for this oil. Like it's keeping me warm. But I was on that boat for at least an hour before everybody saw us. And like literally we were just like circling around, and we didn't even see anybody, you know, because they've literally blocked off um, the whole side of the river. And we were just circling for an hour before we made, and we actually saw people. And so we were just standing there and, you know, all cold and stuff. But it was really, once we saw people, it was really, really thrilling. And it was kind of, I don't think they showed it, but it was raining. It was actually really rainy.
Wow.
That day I was getting a little paranoid because I was competing the following day, you
Oh,
know?
Oh,
And so I was like, oh, I better not get sick from this. But
I think some of the announcers were throwing shade at Pita for being more conservatively dressed this time around.
they definitely were throwing shade. Actually, my family were all so mad. They're like, "Who's this pizza dude?" Because, like, depending where you are in the you know, in the world, different networks show, you know, me a little bit longer. While, you know, in the U.S. they were more focused on pizza, so like they got a little glimpse of us, and then like pizza with his shirt off, like, you know, waving the flag. So everybody's like, "Who's this pizza? Like, forget this pizza." Like we you know, he was like so whenever ago. I was like, dude, just let it be.
Yeah, because you
um,
were the flag bearer, right? You were the actual flag
yeah,
bearer for Tonga. That's what's up. That's huge.
it was a huge honor, you know,
Hmm.
just waving that flag.
Here's what the fans really want to know, though, is because the oil that you guys use on your body makes you look like a goddess from Mount Olympus. What is give the secrets on what's the best kind of oil to use to make yourself look like that?
Yeah, so that oil is honestly, if you want to look like that, you gotta go from Tonga. You gotta go straight to Tonga and buy it there, you know, um, because it's the aunties and the grandmas that be putting in their magic and making it
yeah.
shiny. So my siblings actually all came together. They're all my older brother and my older sister are in Australia picking fruit. And so they actually didn't hear from me that I was a flag bearer because I was told to keep it a secret, you
Oh,
know?
okay.
Um, and when I was told that I needed more like my traditional wear, I asked my sister, I was like, hey, can your husband go drop off something for me? And I guess she brought her son's, you know, school schoolwear to the lady, and she's like, oh, you do realize that she's actually like the flag, you know, carrier. And then the husband's like, what, why didn't you tell me this? And
Oh.
then she rings up my sister, or he rang up my sister, and he was like, did you know that Fe'ofa'aki is the flag carrier? And she was like, what, you know? And then she gave me shit for not saying anything. And I was like, I was just told to keep it a secret. She's like, those type of things you can't keep a secret. So then, you know, they ran all over to try to gather my uniform because the secretary, she was leaving. You know, she was the one who was bringing my stuff, and my brother was like, don't forget to get her oil. And then my sister had to go back to the market. I guess um, she was upset at my sister for not giving her a heads up notice because she usually likes to shower, you
Mm.
know, do her makeup, do all that stuff. She didn't want to be seen in town not looking good. And so but she had to make things happen all for the oil.
That's funny. That's awesome. Did you enjoy the food out there? Did you enjoy sightseeing? Were you able to look at some of the sites in Paris?
Yeah, I went, so the volleyball, actually, the beach volleyball was literally viewing the Eiffel Tower, you know, and in the background, it looked like a poster, you know. It was just so surreal. But yeah, I was able to do some sightseeing afterwards. Went to see some churches. Was given a tour by one of our fellow Balangi Tongan who, you know, she went to live in Tonga for a while, Virginie. And so she actually resides in France. So she was giving us tours, and it was really cool. The food in the Olympic Village not as good as I was expecting. I was highly disappointed. I think that's what made me lose weight. You know, it was literally no
Dang.
salt. It was no salt whatsoever. Um, it was, but they were really trying to cater to athletes who are weightlifting or who are in boxing or who are in wrestling. You just don't. A lot of the sports are weight sensitive, or like everybody is trying to also perform at their peak. So the food didn't. I think they swayed away from the flavors, but it was the dessert was good though. Not
There was
much
a lot of
salt.
talk. There was a lot of talk about the Olympic Village throughout all the television coverage here in the States. They were talking about like some of the beds were made out of cardboard or
Cardboard?
something.
Yes. Yep.
Dang, for
No
real?
cardboard. So like my back was hurting,
Uh-huh.
my shoulder and neck, my coach, he was like all stiffed. Yeah, it was cardboard.
So it wasn't comfortable at
That's
all.
some good quality cardboard because it held up a lot of big people.
Oh wow.
Like sturdy cardboard, yeah.
That's wild.
Okay, notice I think we're up to the are we up to the rapid fire fan questions?
Yeah, we gathered some questions from some Joe, our producer. Shout out to Joe. Thank you for making this happen, Joe. Um, we have some fan questions that Joe gathered from some of the fans around the world, and I guess Tech, you want to shoot them off?
Go ahead, Jake.
All right. Well, I'll do the first one. We'll just kind of go around. So they're designed to be rapid fire. So 30 seconds or less, well, or a minute if you need to extend it. Answers, and we'll rapid fire throw them at you quick. Even though they're probably deep questions. So
Yeah.
no pressure.
No pressure.
So journey, and so this one is about your journey and inspiration. Your journey to the Olympics has been remarkable. Can you therefore elaborate more on how your dad inspired your boxing career and what impact it had on your journey? And I know we touched on that, but anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would say my father's work ethic. He was often like the black sheep in our family. He would come we would go to church with like ripped pants, or like his pants are dirty. We didn't really do, laundry. Um, or even show up to like some of our family members events, and his clothes, like his shirts or stuff was ripped. And he it was often like, why are you wearing that? Like, well, why couldn't you wear something, something nicer? So my father was like, he just always laughed it off, and was, we couldn't afford to have nicer clothes, and so I would say him embracing his black sheep um, side, and he was also a Baha'i, and he was the only Baha'i in our family.
Mm.
Everybody else was like either Mormon or Catholic, and he was a Baha'i. So I would say his work ethic, his ability to embrace like being a black sheep, which I felt like I've had to I'm basically a black sheep as well, and his strength. If it wasn't for him, I don't think the idea of doing boxing would have had sparked. Um, yeah.
Great
100%.
answer. Being a black sheep, being able to be a free thinker, I think that's what you need
Yeah.
to go against the grain in order to be great. Sometimes, right? Is you have to. You're a leader, not a follower. I don't think most people are born with that. I think getting into like biological reasons, if everybody's a black sheep, then society can't exist. But it takes a few different ones to set new standards and set the ceiling higher for everybody else. So I love that answer. Tech, you want to take number two?
Yeah. Number two is going to be about your challenges and resilience. So, boxing a male-dominated sport, especially when it comes to Tongan culture, what were some of the most prominent challenges as a female athlete that you had to go through and overcome?
First, I think trying to overcome the hurdles of even the men in Tonga, questioning my I guess citizenship, Tonganness. Um, and gaining their trust, which is, for me, I don't mind having to earn somebody's trust. I feel like that makes it that much more rewarding. Um, Going to the tournaments, taking money out of my pocket, like I've gone so broke for this process. I feel like a lot of people don't realize that you know, um, in order to make things happen, you actually have to invest more into your journey than other people, you know. And I would have to say I've invested so much, even though I felt like my skills weren't really necessarily at that level. But I knew where I could be at, and I knew myself, and I felt like, yeah, that's that.
Very nice. Question number three. It talks about your Olympic experience. What lessons have you learned from your first ever Olympic experience or appearance?
Well, other than the importance of water for cutting weight, I think that was like, in terms of being a boxer, that was major for me. Water loading saved me. The other thing I would say was, remembering and knowing that I needed to focus on the things that are within my control,
Mm,
you know,
powerful.
and not worry anything else. Don't even need to worry about that, um, because oftentimes when you're in this journey, you can get overwhelmed and it could snowball effect and you can feel like you're drowning. So I felt like for me, it was just remembering, okay, just work on the things that I can control and what I can do right now, you know. So that was something that I really had to learn. And then the last thing would be trusting myself and in the whole process of making it to the Olympics, and just knowing that my time was coming, or is going to continue to come. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's a deep answer. Thank you for that. That's dope.
Hopefully it's within the minute.
No, that's perfect. I'm learning a lot because that what you just said right there is a superpower. If we can learn how to control the things that we can only control, man, superpower. That's
Yeah, we
awesome.
can't control what other people are doing and what they're saying. What we can only control is like protecting ourselves, protecting our mind, and protecting the things that we can do, working on that.
Mm. Famous boxing quotes: "Protect yourself at all times."
Yeah, exactly.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah.
Number four, we have a cultural impact. Being the first female boxer from Tonga ever to box in the Olympics, how do you think your experience will shape you in the future of women's sports, especially back in the islands?
I would say just as what my dad did, he planted a seed um, in my mind without knowing, you
Mm.
know, that it was something that I was going to eventually default to. I think my experience and my journey and my process, my hope is to plant a seed in someone's head, whether it's a little girl, um, a guy who's like, stuck on whether to choose his family or whether to, there's always roadblocks. Um, just to, again, going back to controlling the things that we can control and keeping your goal in mind, and, moving things and readjusting as many times as you need to in order to make your goal happen.
Yeah. Do you think after your career's done in boxing that you will go back to the islands and provide the things that you weren't able to have,
A
like
hundred,
as training and stuff like that?
110%. Um, that has always been kind of my goal, is just to go back, because like I think one of the things that I really wanted to focus on for a really long time is education, so don't be shocked if a school was built, on my behalf down the road, if I, get there, and um, a
Let's
gym
go.
and a gym is
Hmm.
also part of the journey, because again, um, a lot of Polynesians are actually obese or
Hmm.
are diagnosed with something related to heart disease,
Diabetes.
diabetes, all these things. And part of my journey and why I live the life that I want to live is because it's out of love for my family and my friends. You know, I can't say, hey, you need to do this or do that, or like we need to change. I need to be that example, you know.
Oh,
My brothers and my sisters, and I never thought I would be like the auntie that would be like, here, don't have candy. Here's a toothbrush and a toothpaste. You know, like I never thought I was gonna be that auntie, but now as I get older, I'm like, okay, so now I see why that person, you know, when I was little and one of my Balangi aunties from here gave me a book and a toothbrush and toothpaste. I was like, what is this? You know. But as I get older, I'm now like understanding that that's love, you know, wanting to take care of the people that you love through being a good example or providing them better materials and resources. That is love because you're, you know, contributing to their longevity or to their self-care. Yeah.
We'll need to link you up with Bidbird, and even notice to give you some ideas on a nonprofit to help you get that, at least the beginning paths of getting that started, because that would probably be the, don't you think, Notice, that would be the way to go, nonprofit, to help supporting boxing for, you know, for females in Tonga. I think there's a lot of ideas you can get. Bidbird is Tech's brother, and they support all sorts of homegrown Tongan Polynesian businesses, and just link you up with ideas when you're ready to start making moves there. But I do think probably the nonprofit is the way to go to help start that, as you make your millions from your sponsorships and modeling and boxing and everything else that you do. Now you'll have you'll have an outlet for your charities. Well, there's a lot of people, so we've got to, if you're not already sponsored, I think it's only a matter of time where you're going to have a lot of sponsors and stuff come in and make that money so that you can really do what your passion is.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. We also need to link you up with some of our resources as far as like coaching for boxing, health and conditioning, you know, health and or strength and conditioning coaches. Man, we know a ton of people, so we'd love to push them your way, you know, to get that, even if it's not. For example, Tech lives down the street from one of the best MMA fighters, Polynesian fighters out there, and Ben Moore. He has a gym in Utah. You probably go work out in for free anytime you need. So, shout out to Ben Moore. But yeah, we definitely need to link you up and keep supporting, because we're all going to be in your corner come 2028 in LA. So just
Rock with me. Rock with me.
shoot.
We there.
Yep, I'll hold the
Well,
water bottle.
Y'all need to put it in your calendar now. If not, if listen, if it's not with boxing, definitely rugby, because you know now that rugby is stuff. I guess Tonga has created a rugby league for women. If it's not one way, it's another. So we'll put it in your book.
We're gonna try for breakdancing.
I don't know if you guys will even get, yeah, if it comes back. That was tough.
Yo, did you see her down there? Did you meet that lady down there?
No, I didn't. Honest, I didn't get a chance to. But yeah, Australia was literally a building down from us, so I
Wow.
get to see her.
That's wild. Yo,
So I'm taking around, by the way, for each of these rapid fire questions that we're doing, in case you guys were watching, in honor of Aki and in her sacrifices and her amazing growth and all the things that she's done for us. Should we go? Or where are we at? 5?
Yes, 5.
We're at 5. Personal growth.
Yep.
All right. You've spoken about boxing giving you some mental clarity and confidence. Can you share how it helped develop you as a person within and out of the ring?
I would say boxing has allowed me to face my fear, you know, because nobody really wants to get punched in the face, you know. Um, face my fears, face my anxiety. Yeah, it was a safe space. Like it's okay to get punched in the face. So for me, having that safe space of like, you know, it's part of the learning process. It allowed me to gain confidence in being able to, one, protect myself, being able to, you know, protect my friends. You never know when you go out if you know, run into somebody who's just wilding out, you know. So yeah, boxing gave me I don't know, some tools and a weapon at, at hand in
That's
the
what's up.
process.
Interesting that anxiety can be like how you react to anxiety, because I do think like the more we figure out some of these like uncomfortable feelings that we feel are
Yeah,
on purpose to help us become great,
yeah,
because there's different ways you could react to anxiety, right? You could let it paralyze you, you could not move, or you could face it. And I know this isn't a perfect answer for everyone, but it seems to be facing the thing that's giving you the anxiety head on seems to make you improve and makes you great in the areas that you aren't. Or and so anyways, that's a topic for another podcast. But I just find all of the people that have overcome so much, it's not that they don't feel these things, they just face them differently.
the space, yeah.
Sheesh, that's powerful. Tech, what's that one quote you always say, you always share with us in the group chat about getting punched in the face? What was it? Everyone has a plan
Until you
until they're
get punched in the face.
That Tyson quote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is. Yeah.
true. It's true, and you don't know which punch either.
Man, uppercut. Oof, that would knock me out. So let's see. Here's our final question from one of the fans that we got. It's a question number 6. Advice to aspiring athletes. I know you touched this a little bit about this, but what would be the advice you would give to young women in Tonga and around the Pacific Islands who have similar sporting dreams but maybe come from traditional or poor backgrounds?
Yeah, I would say, oof.
Go to Aki's future gym that she's going to open here when as she makes her millions and is able to share her dream with everyone.
Thank you, thank you. That's exactly that.
For real.
That's a good start. Um, but I would say, one, have a goal in mind. And then two, figure out the steps that you need to take to make it to that goal and what you need to do. If you don't have the resources yet, you do the things, again, you're gonna get sick of me hearing me say it. You do the things that are within your control that will get you to your goal, you know whether it's creating a daily habit that makes you better towards getting to the goal, reading, you know yeah, making it to your goal. You will actually lose a lot. You will lose friends, you will lose family members, like, not like, actually, you have to sacrifice friendships, sometimes time with your family, and to focus on those things, and just know that's part of the process. If you want to make it there, your family, they'll be there. Your real friends, they'll be there, they'll understand. You can always make that connection. um, but just you got to listen to yourself. Sometimes you just got to pray about it when you feel lost, and I don't know, I just have, for me, I base things based on how, like, the feeling that I get in my gut, like, okay, well, clearly I can't do that, it doesn't align with my goal. I can't hang out with that person, it doesn't align with my goal. I can't go out because I have to wake up in the morning and go to my workout, like, it doesn't align with my goal. Like,
Mhm.
you just have to keep yourself in check and just ask yourself if it aligns with your goal, and if it doesn't, don't do it.
Powerful,
Yeah.
powerful, powerful, powerful.
So daily goals, huh?
Daily goals, daily goals. It
That's
gives
where it all starts.
yeah,
Small, simple, great things come to pass.
yeah.
Fire.
As Jake takes another cup. All right. Did you finish that comete already? You finished that bowl already?
No, we're still going. The rapid fires are killing me though.
So Aki, if for our fans that wrote these questions, if they wanted to follow your journey into 2028, how would they follow you? How would they be able to find you, like social media stuff?
Yeah, so I have Instagram. My Instagram is OFA, OFA_AKI. I think. I'm not sure if it's AKI 9. Let me
No.
look it up, guys.
Yeah, better double check.
We'll post a link to
Yes.
this episode beneath
Yeah,
it.
so follow me on Instagram, and then my Instagram has, I've been really trying to work on my YouTube. Um, so yeah, it's on my Instagram link.
All right, sweet. We'll
And
post it up.
Yeah.
any
Well,
branding or social media teams or anything that you want to sponsors, anything you want to shout out?
ooh, yes, yes, yes. I would like to shout out Pure Technique, which is actually my new gym here at in San Antonio. They've been pretty darn amazing. My conditioning coach at Pure Technique, his name is Jesse Coronado. Um, he he's pretty awesome. He's helped me get in like the best shape that I possibly could have gotten for the Olympics, and showed up for me. And then lastly, I want to do shout out Mac Texas Law. He's been one of my main supporters in my funding for the Olympics, and that's pretty awesome. And then of course my friends and family, y'all have really come through. Thank you.
And are you on TikTok as well, or
Yes,
IG?
I
The
have
main.
TikTok. Um, again, I'm very, I just need to get over myself. I do have moments where I feel shy, like I just feel exposed when I post, but this journey there, I've been getting advised to really put myself out there. So it's a little, sometimes it feels a little out of my comfort zone. But that's something that I'm working that I need to post TikToks and more posts on Instagram. Otherwise, y'all wouldn't even see me there.
No,
No worries.
you're super inspiring, Aki, and I think your impact is probably far bigger than you think it is on
Massive.
especially women, and you deserve to be out there and viral and making money off of that so that you can share. You've got such a great attitude and great best practices in order to achieve success. I do think that would be, it's meant to be for the world and for specifically for young women that are coming up. So I'm looking forward to your astronomical rise here shortly. And anything that we can do to help as well. Anything you'd like to do, we'll connect you with them, and see this rise happen right before us. And thank you so much, by the way, for coming on and sharing your story.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having an ear for me, and for the questions. They're really excellent and deep. I wasn't, yeah, it's nice to sometimes go back in memory lane, um, keeps me rooted. So thank you.
It's been truly an honor to have you on, an Olympic athlete. Man, you broke history. You're continuing to break barriers and inspire and lead men and young women all over the world, so keep it up, man. We're here to encourage you. You are a natural encourager, and thank you for being on with us so much, Aki. Thank you. Thank you. Anything you want to before we wrap this up? Anything else? And anyone else? Tech, Aki, anything else you like to share or talk about that we might have missed?
Um, ooh, I do.
Let's go.
Um, so throughout my boxing journey, I've had to change coaches so many times,
Okay.
and
That's not typical, right? Is
no,
that no, that's not typical. Okay.
I don't think so.
Mhm.
I feel like the amount of time that I change coaches have been quite ridiculous. I've had my coach in Santa Cruz. I started off with this guy for like 2 weeks. I was like, you're not cutting it, you know. And then I found a coach who actually started teaching me some skills. And then I went to Vegas. I worked with 2 different coaches in Vegas, so that's 4 right there. And then I went to Ohio. I lived there for quickly like a month and a half. Like what I'm saying, I was really chasing the dream. I was like, whoever is going to help me get there, like I'm willing to move mountains for y'all, you know. Um, that's when I was in Ohio, two coaches were helping me, so that's like seven. And then when that didn't work, I came back to the Bay Area, went back to the coach that I had in Santa Cruz, and then I had another coach in Oakland. That situation didn't work. I went to another coach, two coaches. So I would say in total, I went in that span of time, I went through 20 different coaches. And I literally felt like there was something wrong with me. And my partner said, do you ever think that maybe it's not them, it's you? Talk about like hit to, I was are you serious, dude? You know, like
Hey, that's love. That's love right there.
he's like, dude, not everything like it's not them, it's you. I was like, and you know, he really had me thinking, like, man, it must be me, you know, like I'm the problem. Um, and then I finally landed on my coach.
Oh,
You
wow.
know,
Mhm.
he was actually in the gym that I was at in Oakland before I moved out, and then I moved back, you know, to working with him, you know, to working with him. And I just wanted to share that sometimes, like through your path, you're gonna have to change, you know, um, and you're gonna like what I was saying is you got to think about your goal, and you got to think about the people that are around you, and the things that are around you, and you got to ask yourself, are they adding something that will get me to my goal? And if the answer is no, like I've given these coaches, like, you know, it's not like I'm gone like after the first week. I've given them minimum a month, you know, but I had to make the moves fast because my timeline for the Olympics, you know, for going to the Olympics kept getting shorter and shorter with each coach that I transitioned to, you know. But I kept saying to myself, no, this is not it. This is not the coach that I saw myself having. You know, I was looking for a coach that one has a good heart, you know, who's selfless. And that's really, really important quality to have, because somebody who's selfless does not put their needs above yours. It's like, okay, you have your goal. What can we do to get you to your goal? I see the vision. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then two, honest. You gotta have somebody who's honest with you. You know, that way that if you're on some bullshit, they could be like, you're on your bullshit.
Mhm.
Like, remember your goal. Let's keep it in check, you know, and who can hold you accountable. And that's part of being honest. So finally I landed this coach, and you have to have a coach that um that has a plan for you. You're like, you have your plan, and you know that, you know, your destination is here, but he's going to help set those little, you know, timelines for you. And so I finally landed my coach literally. So the day that I fought, literally it was a year since he first cornered me from my first fight with him, you know, and that was my seventh fight. So we ended up at the Olympics at my 14th fight, you know.
Wow.
Um, so with that being said, like, you're literally going to question yourself in your journey. You're going to question, like, am I making too many changes? If you truly listen, you know, um, to your inner voice, listen to, like, you know, if you pray, listen to your prayer, that will guide you to where you need to go. And, you know, stay steadfast to your vision, stay steadfast, change as many times as you need to change to get there, you know. And finally I found my coach, and he literally was willing to make sacrifices just like you know, I had coaches who were like, oh, well, I can't go to that tournament, you know, I don't have money. Like, my coach was willing to put money on me, like, we're going, you know. He flew himself out to the Pacific Games, and you know, a lot of our stuff not only um, like was funded between the two of us, you know.
Mhm.
So
And
yeah,
this is the coach you have now?
yeah. This is he because I moved here to San Antonio, he's still back in Oakland, but so it's funny how I ended up here in San Antonio in the first place was because I was traveling so much. You know, the Bay Area is expensive. And in order for me to maintain and to keep on my dream, when I came back, my partner, you know, I was as soon as I land home, I'm usually working 2 jobs, you know, and I try to make as much money as I can and I train. And then it's like, boom, okay, go into the next tournament and come back, you know, make as much money as I can. But there were like huge gap periods where I'm gone for 3 weeks, a month and a half where I couldn't, you know, make money. So, you know, when that's the case, my partner is left struggling, you know, trying to put food on the table and a roof over our head, you know?
Mm.
So the Bay Area is expensive. So we had to reevaluate like, hey, I'm still going after this goal, but I don't want to see you struggle. You know, I don't want to see you stressed out. Let's move, you know? And so we decided, okay, where are we going? And so we picked Texas. And then from there, literally within a week when I was about to leave town, we made the decision in less than a week. We sold most of our stuff. And then after I was in New Zealand for camp, he just drove to Texas by himself. He quit his job literally, you know, when we made our decision. He he quit and then he was jobless. He didn't know where he was going, you know, going to work here. We didn't even have a place to live. So he just drove down with my cats and my dog. And, you know, from there he stayed in like a motel room for a few nights while he was trying to figure out what he was going, you know, where we were going to live. And from there he was able to find us a space. And then I was traveling and then I came back and yeah, here I am.
That's
Man,
awesome.
that's a wonderful story.
That's deep. It, you know, you don't know how the path is going to go, but you know, you stick to your guns and you just put your head down and grind. And that's something that's super powerful coming from you, an Olympic athlete. Having we don't know all the struggles that you went through, but man, I'm sure has refined you and has delivered you, and you are where you are now, and you're still going to keep going. So powerful and, and inspirational. Thank you, Aki, for sharing that.
Yeah, and in our our secondary, so our first goal is to share everybody's story and then encourage everybody along the way, and then really kind of our second thing is let's all also find a way to build generational wealth so that even though the struggle defined us coming up for a lot of us, you know, we kind of don't want that for everybody.
Oh,
And so we can have that. So that's our secondary goal here. So, you know, with your messaging in mind, you know, that's kind of what we'll finish up in is those two things. That's the goal here is share the message to the world, build generational wealth for your family and you know, whatever is to come as well. It's been we've been lucky to have you on. Thank you so much, by the way, for again sharing your story. It's been gold nugget after gold nugget. We're gonna have a lot of little shorts that are gonna be perfect for everybody to listen to.
Aki, what just before we go, what part of the Tonga is your family from, or part of the
wow.
islands? Bavau?
Wow.
Oh, Bavau yeah. That's what.
That
What
was
part
more
of Bavau?
about my Masilamea and Leimatua.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So my dad had like I guess his father, so his mom is from Tonga,
Mm-hmm.
um in Kolomotua. So that's
Mm.
the village where Pita he would go and he would teach like all the youths there how to box at the time. Um but his father was from Lavao, so that's where we're at.
Nice. And what's their last name? What's your family's last name?
Epenisa.
Oh, duh. I'm sorry. Hella slow. I'm slow, but I'll get there someday.
Then you get there. That's all
Yeah.
that matters, right?
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. We might be related because my family's from Vau and Kolomotua.
Really?
Yeah, that's all. That
And
I forgot to
Kolomotua?
ask. Yeah, that's my family.
Oh, you might be.
What's up, sis? What's up,
Every
cousin?
time.
But yeah, again, thank you again, Aki. You've been incredibly inspirational for this podcast, and I'm sure everyone that's listening to this. We have a strong female audience, all around the world, actually, mainly in actually New Zealand, Australia, all the island nations, pretty much. So I know it's been inspirational for us here right now, talking to you right now live, and I'm sure for everyone else as well. So thank you again. Thank you.
I'll tell you why, because Tech used to have real long, beautiful hair that the girls loved,
Jon
and he
Snow.
was the Tongan Jon
Oh.
Snow,
True,
and
huh?
and we
You
got
look
we
like
got
Jon
this
Snow.
huge following, and then Tech's like, I'm gonna test this and cut his hair all off.
Oh, and then what? All the subscription went off,
Yeah.
started going
I,
flat.
I don't even know who Jon Snow is.
Hmm.
I know we got to get my man up on the Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but shout out to you, Aki. Shout out to everyone that's listening. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you have any questions or would like to join us for our podcast, please shoot us a line and be sure to follow Aki on all her social media and keep rooting for her. Check back here for more episodes coming up. We have a lot more guests coming lined up to join us here on the Encouragers podcast. Again, shout out to you, Aki. Thank you for joining us today and have a safe
Yeah,
journey.
thank
And let
you.
us know if we can help you with anything.
Malo, malo.
Hello.
Hello. Laters.